Long before trains and buses, the stagecoach transported passengers and goods. The coach would travel a route in stages, but over time, the word stage was used to describe the coach itself. Drawn by 2 or 4 animals, it relied quite literally on horsepower. Like a classic movie scene come alive, seeing a stagecoach in action is a throwback to a bygone era. Even today, building a stagecoach, a horse-drawn carriage, or a covered wagon borrows techniques from a time when engineering and design were done by hand. The creation of the stagecoach begins with drawings detailing both the look of the final product and its exact dimensions. They start with construction of the stagecoach body. A worker puts framing rails for the back wall into place using a mortise and tenon joint. The final panel slides into place and another framing rail holds the end wall together. The end wall is added to other pieces of the stagecoach body, which have already been assembled. The end wall has ribbing for added strength. Although the floor is partially curved, passengers will sit or stand on the part that is flat. The coachmaker inserts the door pillars into the mortise with a few taps of a hammer. He lowers the roof beam onto the top part of the door pillars and fastens it firmly into place. Forging of stagecoach suspension components is done by hand. The blacksmith begins stretching the heated bar of steel into a component called a jack. He repeatedly heats and hammers the steel bar until it reaches the desired shape. He hammers the tapered steel bar over an anvil to shape it into a curved hook. Once the hook becomes an eye, he hammers a pin into it. The blacksmith wraps the heated steel around the pin to form a snug joint. The transformation is done without the help of presses or dies. It's the blacksmith who essentially sculpts the metal bar into a piece that has both function and form. The blacksmith positions the finished and cooled jack onto the undercarriage and attaches it firmly into place. The assembly has to withstand the stresses of the leather suspension used to make the stagecoach ride more comfortable for passengers. Using a clip, the blacksmith attaches the step used to climb into the stagecoach to the jack assembly. He attaches a clevis to the jack assembly. With 4 jacks in opposing corners, the leather suspension will rest in the clevises. Now onto the stagecoach interior. The trimmer inspects the hide of leather. He positions patterns carefully, choosing leather cuts that match. Then he'll cut the leather pieces, with each pattern designated for a specific part of the stagecoach. He places the newly upholstered cushion on the seat bench and buckles the retaining straps that hold it securely in place. In the paint booth, this particular undercarriage is given coats of yellow and black stripes. A worker coats the running gear and wheels with sealer to weatherproof the undercarriage. Workers gently lower the newly painted and upholstered wagon onto the undercarriage. They connect the two using mounting bolts. They fix the nameplate to the center of the rear axle. To help protect passengers from the elements, this particular model comes with a roof. Workers lower the roof posts into receiver eyes and make sure they're securely attached. Next, a worker positions a brake pad against one of the rear wagon wheels. He then tests the brake assembly. The face of the brake pad can be wood, steel, or rubber, depending on the vocation of the wagon. Now for a suspension test. The process that began with raw lumber and steel ends up about 1,200 hours later, with a stagecoach that's ready to hit the dusty trail.